What's up YouTube? This is Foxtel Digital coming to you again with Black Girl Stock, and this is a weekly update of what's been going on in the stock market and also an update on our top 3 options that we were looking into this week. But first, if this is your first time watching this video, please make sure that you click that thumbs up button. It really helps the channel. Let's get this video to 2,000 likes, and then also make sure that you subscribe and click that notification bell so that you get notified anytime I upload a new video for you guys. Last week was pretty bearish throughout the market. Dow dropped 1.4%, mirroring its decline back in early September of this year. NASDAQ was down by 3.2%, with S&P following close behind with a 2.2% drop. And that's their biggest loss week since February. So what's the catalyst? What's going on? Well, there seems to be higher concerns about slowing economic growth, higher inflation pressures, and fading out of fiscal and monetary stimulus. So when we're seeing in the news about the feds, what are the feds up to, and the uncertainty around it or them, is it them or it?
It's called the man.
This is essentially what we're talking about. Now, just briefly, monetary policy is going to be the actions of central banks to fulfill macroeconomic guidelines. So think large scale, the amount of money that we have in circulation, our employment, so full employment, price stability, and just stable economic growth in general. And then the fiscal is going to gear more towards our taxes and government spending. So remember, we have a global chip shortage. We have a global energy shortage right now. It doesn't seem to be getting any better. Well, aside from Tesla, they're always going to break the rules. Well, they had crazy third quarter earnings, but apart from that $137 million lawsuit for hostile work environments and racism. Come on now, Tesla, do better. So overall, we're still very much in a position of trying to build back up economy-wise through this pandemic. And with rising inflation putting more pressure on the central banking system, then the likely solution seems to be narrowing their monetary policy to avoid losing control of everything. For our option plays that we were talking about this week, first is gonna be BTU. This is Peabody Energy. And we were pretty bullish on the stock, with coal being a top performing sector right behind oil and gas. We started out looking at BTU when it was $15.65. As far as fundamentals and news and things like that, it has had analysts raising their earning estimates the past month. If you recall, back in a previous video, I did about how to know whether or not you want to invest into a stock long term. One of those things that you would look for going into long-term bullish plays are going to be analysts raising their price predictions. So for this stock, they've actually raised their predictions from 45 cents per share all the way up to 72 cents. So this is just another long-term indication of where the stock price could be going. But looking at the charts, you'll see that we did have some good upward movement up to $17.49. Now, there was a little sell-off towards the end of the day on Monday, but coming Tuesday morning, it really showed out, okay? Hitting $18.42. But then you'll see right after that after it hit that high, it actually started to plummet, and it still is somewhat doing that in downward momentum today. And right now, at the time that I'm filming this, it is $16.33. So in the grand scheme of things, it's still higher than where we started, but like I said, it has started to slow down on that upward spike. So finishing out the week, we really want to see it pass above this resistance at about 1650. And then once you see that, then it'll really be a great indication that it is continuing on that upward trend. Now, the MACD indicator is looking pretty good on the 5-minute chart, but you do kind of start to see some of that trend, like I said, starting to slow down, even on the ADX indicator. And also, you guys should be expecting to see a video with more information about how to use this amazing indicator. So that's gonna be coming up this week. So stay tuned for that. All right. So next up was CAG, and that's Conagra. So this was one of our earnings plays that we got last week from Tiblio. So guys, make sure you check out Tiblio. I'll have the link below. So the earning report isn't going to be until this Thursday. And let's just go ahead and take a step back and let's look at the 180-day chart. So you remember that we were checking this out while it was hitting that resistance around 33, which is where we started. Okay, so we started around 33 and we saw that on the 29th of last month, it definitely broke above that, reaching all the way up to about $35. And then it definitely broke out above that. Naturally, it is gonna have a slight correction, but what it looks like is the price is starting to use that previous resistance point as a new support. So it looks to be continuing in that upwards trend going into earnings. Now, going into earnings, CAG is also seeing recent EPS, earnings per share prediction raises by analysts also right before their earnings. So this could actually be a signal of a possible earnings beat or a win. Now, right now, the quarter estimate is 49 cents per share, and that's about a 1% increase from what they had before at 48 cents. Now, don't do that, okay? Don't do that. An increase is an increase, okay? So that's another good catalyst for this stock moving upwards this week. So this morning, Conagra just unveiled new product innovations with Slim Jim, big sunflower seeds, and Act 2 popcorn, the popcorn company, to boost their growth. And then also CAG bought Pinnacle Foods back in 2018, and that's really looking good at bringing long-term benefits to the company in the frozen food space. So Conagra is making big moves. Now, as far as the plays that we were talking about last week, we had an iron condor and we were talking about credit spreads. So remember, we do have a short at 34, right? $34. So right now we're technically past our limit. So if you still have that play, you might be in the red. Now, our expiration date isn't going to be until the 8th. So we still have more time for the stock to perform as it has in the past with the possible price drop before earnings. But you know, hey, what's happened in the past does not always mean that that's going to happen in the future. So in my opinion, if you have that credit spread open or that iron condor, you can close out of the call credit spread and you can leave that put credit spread open and just let that gain value. Now, I know I've said to keep a stop loss on all your option trades, but depending on the broker that you're using, you aren't going to be able to put stop losses on spread plays. So that's just something to keep in mind. But let's just kind of see what happens with this stock. And lastly was NVDA. Now, we were looking at NVIDIA at 207.42, and we were overall short-term bullish on this play, specifically because of the bullish flag pattern play that was forming. You see, I got it this time. Okay, that's a mouthful. So you'll see from the stock chart that we did have a good drop on Friday to 195. So that's a pretty big move, but we have rebounded pretty well over Tuesday, closing around 205. And then today, at the time that I'm recording this, is actually up to 206.68. So that's not too bad. Now let's see if it continues on this brief uptrend and that flag pattern play that we were talking about. So remember, we said that our target price is going to be around 220 to 225. So hey, you know, there's obviously still some room to grow. Now, one thing I would really like to see going forward to continue seeing this upward movement and how strong it's going to be with that MACD indicator. I want to see, you know, it continue moving upwards, because you see it's still kind of below that center line, which is pretty bearish long term. You know, we kind of want to see that continue moving upwards. And then also the RSI is still very much so oversold. Now, news wise, and this is a little bit more corporate shade, but NVIDIA is actually in the process of trying to close a deal with a United Kingdom company called ARM, that actually develops and licenses CPU designs for big competitors like QCOM, if you guys have heard of them. So let's just kind of see how this plays out. It's going to show lack of loyalty on ARM if they do decide to take a partner with NVIDIA. With a $54 billion deal on the table, I mean, hey, money talks. So they're set to have a decision made by October 7th. So be on the lookout for some interesting movement with NVIDIA going into tomorrow, okay? Make sure you guys check out this video on how to use moving averages in your trades, what's the difference between EMA and moving averages, and also what settings that you can use, whether you're a day trader, swing trader, or, you know, just trying to see what's going on. So make sure you check that video out, okay? Yeah.